to another episode. I hope you all have had an amazing day today. I know I have. Probably not for the right reason, but I have. Today has been a day with much clarification, much confirmation. God really came through today. So I am so thankful for Him opening up these doors for me lately. And uh, I've really seen God move these past few days. Today specifically, I ended up ending a friendship. Well, I don't even I don't even know if it was a friendship because honestly, and I'm not gonna come on here and just, speak drama. That's not what I'm gonna do. But I am gonna kind of go over what I went through today and just basically tell you all what I've learned from it so you do not make the same mistakes I did. And I'm hoping that this will lead you all to, grow in your faith with Jesus and continue to grow in your walk with Him because, after this past week, with the good news about the job and, the other things, I have really seen the Lord move. No one can tell me that He does not exist because honestly, it didn't even have to just take this week, for me to say that, but because I have been a devout believer in Jesus for quite some time now, but I've really seen Jesus move this week. Well, anyway, so basically, I have kind of been very open about how I view my inner circles. And personally, from a friend, I would expect to be valued as a friend. And what it means to be valued to me is that I am being treated with respect. My presence and my company is important to you. I am an important asset in your life, and I add something to your day, not take something away from your day. That's part of what I see as being valued, and I have a lot of friends that fulfill those requirements, thankfully. But I think that it's actually healthy to feel valued in a friendship or in a relationship because if you don't, if you're just basically there and you're not adding anything to the relationship, it's not going to last. You're going to feel more awkward than anything. So that's a requirement that I have. I have to be valued. And I learned today that someone who I considered to be a friend is not my friend. And after the whole thing finished, I was actually smiling the whole time. And some people would expect me to cry or get upset or get mad. But genuinely today, when I was having that discussion, I was smiling. And I think it was because this is something that the Lord has been wanting me to do for a while, was to end this relationship with this person. And sometimes I have a hard time knowing the words to say when I'm trying to let people go. So that door closed today, but I believe when one door closes, the Lord will open up double doors. There are some people that you do not need in your life. There are some people who will add more toxicity and drama into your life rather than bringing growth and love into your life. And as a Christian myself, I strive to find other fellow Christians who hold the same beliefs as me and who value me and who wants to help see me grow and who I want to help them grow. So that's what I had to digest that information today because I'm not gonna lie, there were some things that I heard today in our discussion that really did shock me, but it didn't hurt me. It takes a lot to hurt my feelings. And some of the jabs that I was getting today did not hurt my feelings in the slightest. I always say, if you see me laughing at a text message, I was done way before then. Because, if, for instance, if one of my closest best friends were to send me those messages, I probably would have been torn apart. But when you already have a quote unquote friend who is hanging by a thread and who you consistently question and who you consistently doubt, and every time you turn around, you are in an argument, no, those messages aren't going to hurt your feelings. So I had to take that information in today. And after it was all done, I had to go to some of my family, and this is still nighttime, so I haven't done my nightly prayer, but I think I'm gonna make it a goal to start praying tonight for me to come across people, whether it's in a romantic relationship or just a friendship. I want to come across people who are going to help build me up, because I have people, like I've said, I have people who help build me up, but sometimes you want your circle, your whole circle, to reflect that. It's good to have one or two friends, but it's even better to have a whole circle. And what I've realized as time has gone on is that the smaller your circle, the fewer issues and problems you'll have. So don't always try to go out and make a whole bunch of friends, because it does not work out. I am proud to say I at least have 5 good friends that I know I can count on. I have 2 that I get to see when I want, and I have 3 that I don't have the opportunity to see as often. So, but I just know that no matter what time of night it is, if I pick up the phone crying or something, they will be there to listen, and I am there for them. And that's how friendship should be. And there's some people in my life that I don't consider a friend, but they're also people that I care about. And the relationship I ended today, that was not a friendship. Whenever you start to see in your relationships that you are arguing more with the person, and you're doing more arguing or getting more irritated, the friendship's over. There's nothing to hold on to. I think the issue that some of us have is we try to fight for things just because we do not want to let it go. Let people go. You are doing yourself a disservice by holding on to people who are not valuing you, but you are valuing them. I value people. Even if I'm not the closest to you, I will value you. But all you had to tell me, let me tell you, you only have one time to tell me that you do not see me as a friend before I say, you know what, we're done. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Stop fighting for people who are not putting that same energy into you. Relationships and friendships, specifically friendships, I don't think you should be trying to fight for a friendship. And what I mean by that is, if you're doing so much arguing that you always have to convince the other person that you still want them to be a part of your life, and you're doing more of that than anything, you need to say bye. Because arguing and consistently bickering over petty stuff, that's not a friendship. That's just childish behavior. And as adults, we should be trying to find people who are going to mimic our aspirations, or at least support our aspirations. And I want a friend that's going to tell me that I'm right when I'm right, and tell me I'm wrong when I'm wrong. I want a friend who's going to clarify something for me if I'm taking it out of context. That's the type of person I want as a friend. And I think you all should try to find that for yourself, or you may have that. Hold those people close and tight. When I left college, I said, there are some people that I know that I'll never speak to again. And then there are some people I said, well, you know what? I don't see us ever, not being friends. But boy, was I wrong, you know, and it's okay. I'm not perfect. My judgment may have been misguided, and that's okay. You live and you learn. Sometimes you have to live and you learn things. That's sometimes that's part of life is you live through it, you learn through it, and you grow from it. That's what you have to that's what you have to understand. You may be able to experience something, which it's good to experience things. Once you experience it, then you learn from it. And after you've learned your lesson, then you grow from it and do better. And then you want better for yourself. You never settle for less. I always try to say, hold yourself to a high standard. What that means is that you put yourself on a pedestal, not before God, but you put yourself on a pedestal and say, you know what, this is what I will and will not tolerate. And do not budge on that. Because if you have people around you that are seeing that you're budging, they're going to take advantage of that. So stay true to yourself, stay true to your word, and don't back down. Do not back down. You have to find your inner worth. What makes you you? And if other people can't see it, you see it. Because I can guarantee you, family and your true friends, they see it. And even if they don't, it's you. What makes you unique? What makes you special? And then once you find that out, you put yourself on a pedestal. And don't you ever let anyone try to take you down from that pedestal. That doesn't mean you have to act holier than thou, but it means that you know your worth. It means that you know what you deserve and know what you don't deserve. So you have to set those boundaries for yourself. And if you don't, people are going to take advantage of you and walk all over you as if you are a doormat. And you know what? Sometimes doormats need to get up from the ground and be shaken out. And I'm happy to say that I was a doormat that finally got up from the floor. I came to my senses. My eyes were wide open today. And I am so, so grateful that the Lord has guided me through this. He has allowed me to handle this with patience and with kindness, because something that I need to work on is I need to work on learning how to let people go and learning to find the right words. And there are some things that are deal breakers. There are some things that you can't come back from. And I have deal breakers. And today I was like, you know what? I know my worth. I know I don't deserve this. I know I deserve to be valued. I'm not perfect. I'll never say that I'm perfect. You know what? And I have my days. There's some days that I'm grumpy, some days that I'm super happy, and then there's some days where I'm all over the place just talking about random things. And if a friend or a family member cannot accept me on my good days, where I'm happy and bouncing, which I never am. Well, never bouncing. I'm happy, but and they can't accept me on my bad days when I'm grumpy and going through personal things that I don't always want to express. And if they can't accept me on my all over the place days where my mood is just all over the place, I'm happy, then I'm sad, then I'm mad, then I'm back happy again. If someone can't accept you for that, you know, you have to ask yourself, is this friendship worth it? Because friends should be able to accept you for who you are. Friends should be able to accept your personality. And if it's toxic, you know what? Of course, they can hold you accountable. I think that's a good thing. But if they're consistently taking the little things you say and are holding it against you, that friendship is probably already doomed. Don't try to keep fighting for something that is not worth the fight. You're only going to wear yourself out. Because at the end of the day, they're just sitting in a corner being like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need them. Someone only would have to tell me once that they do not want or need me in their life, and then I'm out. Because everyone has a deal breaker. My deal breaker is when you tell me that you don't see me as a friend and never have, or any other BS like that. That's all you have to tell me. And that, you only get one time to tell me that. And then after that, I'm hitting the door because I know what I'm worth. And I hope you, those of you who are listening today, I hope you know who you are in yourself and who you are in Christ, because those things are important. If you do not know who you are in yourself and who you are in Christ, people are going to try to morph you into who they want you to be. You know, those are the easy targets. I don't believe in that, but those are the easy targets that people can say, well, you know what? They will just follow the crowd because they want to fit in with us. Don't be someone who wants to be a crowd follower. Be a leader. You create your own path. Don't be someone who is quick to just jump on a wagon just because Billy Sam is doing it. No, don't do that. You know, sometimes you have to grow through it and learn from it. And that's why I'm on here talking about this today, because this is something that I had to learn. And sometimes you learn it the hard way, sometimes you learn it the easy way. And you know what? I have to say that today I learned it both the hard and the easy way, because there were things that I didn't even know I was doing, which I know I wasn't doing. And I don't mind being held accountable and being told that I am doing something wrong, but don't wait until you finally had enough and just basically just spew out all the things that you dislike about me. Because you know what? It doesn't hurt my feelings. At the end of the day, I don't hold hostility. I speak through my emotions, and that's what you all should do too. Don't hold things in, because the more you hold things in and bottle things up, when you're finally ready to let it out, sometimes you lash out. And that's not healthy for the people around you. So whenever I get upset, and whenever I just have so many things on my mind that I don't want to talk about right then and there, I will leave the discussion and say, you know what, let's pick this up later when I'm in a better mood. Because I don't want to say anything that is going to risk my relationship with Jesus, or risk how other people see me as a Christ follower, you know? So sometimes it's just best to laugh through it. Sometimes it's just best to just take a few deep breaths and just say, you know what, Lord, I'm going to give this to you. Because as you go on and as you see people and see how people treat you, you will learn that not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes you have to fight your battles in prayer. And that's the best way to fight your battles, is on your knees and talking to God and telling him what it is that you're feeling. And, you know, I can guarantee you, after you get that confirmation like I did today, you'll feel so much better. That's why I am not mad. I am not sad. I'm actually joyful, because this was a big burden that I needed lifted off my shoulders. And it was confirmation, because I didn't want to make the wrong decision. But I'm so glad that the Lord made it for me. I hope you all enjoyed listening to this episode. Let me know if you have any comments, questions about any of my topics that I brought up today. And if you ever want to talk about these things personally, I will link my Instagram down below in the description box. And feel free to DM me with any questions or anything that you just want to talk about or vent about. And I hope you all have a great rest of your evening. Take care.